Hi everyone, it's Diary of a Mystic. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about 3 different ways you can cleanse or spiritually cleanse or smudge your space. Right before me I have 3 common uses that people use to cleanse or spiritually cleanse or smudge their space. The most common one is white sage. White sage is typically commonly used, especially going back to Native American smudging ceremonies. I was first introduced to white sage when I was 20 years old, and I did a smudging ceremony, and I also was introduced to Native American ceremonies using the smudge stick in West Virginia, and it was an interesting experience. I love the smell of white sage. Many people claim that white sage is endangered. Actually, it is not. It is protected by federal law. But if you Google white sage, which I did, I was curious to find out that it is not actually endangered. So find a reputable source to buy your white sage from, of course, but this is the most common way. White sage comes from the salvia plant. There's different varieties of salvia, and white sage has the ability to not only spiritually cleanse, but it also physically cleans your space. It's known to release negative ions in the air. It can rid dust, pollen, pet dander. It's also known for its antibacterial qualities. So white sage is commonly known and is commonly used to cleanse yourself, to cleanse a space, to cleanse your home, and also to cleanse objects as well. Here we have Palo Santo, which is a wood. Palo Santo, this is a very large piece. It comes dry. Palo Santo is also one of the ways that you can spiritually cleanse your space. Palo Santo comes from a tree in South America. It has more of a lemony smell, kind of a fruity, floral, lemony smell. When you light Palo Santo, it won't stay lit. They do come in chip form. They also come in smaller pieces. It won't stay lit, such as the smudge stick will stay more lit throughout. It's burn. This you'll have to continuously light. However, this is to smooth out negative vibes. I like the way that it performs and the way that Palo Santo also smells. If you're not into the smoke, and some people have allergies or affected by too much smoke in a space, you can also use Florida water. This is a bottle of Florida water I've had now for about a month. I use Florida water a lot in my space. Florida water can go a long way. You can use it to wipe down objects, to wipe down your altar, to wipe down your walls. You can use it in a floor wash to mop and wash your floors. You can use it in your bath. You can also use it and add it to your laundry. It won't affect the performance of the washing machine or do anything weird. Florida water is well known in spiritual communities to be a powerhouse to spiritually cleanse, especially negative energy. I use Florida water a lot. I also use it to cleanse down objects, to cleanse down my candles, glass enclosed candles. I also use Florida water to put on my hands before I do any type of working. So Florida water for me is a necessity, and I have it and use it on a daily basis. To make my Florida water stretch or go a longer way, I use spring water or purified water and mix it with 2 parts water, 1 part Florida water in a spray bottle. And I use this to spray my space, to spray the rooms, and also to spray down any objects. I also use it to cleanse anything that comes home to me that I'm going to use for any type of magical purpose, such as a candle. You can spray down the candle and essentially cleanse and consecrate that object for magical working. You can also soak or cleanse or clean crystals or different types of crystals. Of course, don't use anything that is water soluble or that will dissolve in water. So this is how I stretch out my Florida water, and I use this on a daily basis. I spray down areas where I feel there's negative stagnant energy. I spray down my altar, I clean with it, I spray down my space, etc. So it's very important also if you're doing any kind of divination or using tarot cards. I don't use Florida water on the cards. Of course, I don't want to get them wet. But I will use Palo Santo to smoke down the cards. Or I'll use sage. I also can use incense as well. Here's one of my favorite incenses that you can purchase. This is called Lumbini incense. It's a incense made in Tibet. You can order them online within the United States, but you can also order them from Tibetan monasteries. This is a Lumbini incense. It's made out of rice paper, and it's also composed of like 25 other ingredients. This smells really nice. It smells like sandalwood. It has a lot of different components to it, but I also use Lumbini incense to spiritually cleanse or as an offering to spirit or to deity on my altar as well. There's different kinds of rope incense. If you go on eBay, you can find different types of rope incense, but this is the Lumbini incense that I like to use. Many times incense, if you buy it and it's really cheap synthetic incense, it can also have many things in the incense that you really necessarily don't want to burn in your environment. If you do some research on stick incense, make sure that it's made from real good organic material. Sometimes in incense sticks they'll use different parts of, commonly they'll use different parts of a pig, believe it or not. In incense, they can also use different animal blood in incense as a filler, or to make the incense more pliable to stick together. So make sure your incense is good burning incense, not only for your environment but also for you while you're around that area or room to breathe in, as well as for your children, etc. That also goes for any type of candle that you may use. This is a paraffin-based candle. Many vigil or novena glass enclosed candles are paraffin. I like to use soy wax candles because it's better for the environment to breathe in, and it's a different type of burn as well. So here before me I have 100% soy wax based candles that I make and sell in my shop. Soy wax is softer. It has a different feel to it than paraffin wax based candles. So these are candles that I did make and create. This is a Lucky Cat candle in purple that I created from a candle mold, and these are votives, and this is a tea light. So all three of these candles have different magical intentions put into the candle. But I wanted to show you how different soy wax looks compared to paraffin wax. Paraffin wax is a little bit more glossy. Of course, this glass is shiny, but paraffin wax is a little bit more glossy. Okay, and it's also harder. Soy wax is a little softer. Even when you touch and feel it, it feels a little softer. Okay, so soy wax is also better to burn in your environment or in your space for you physically to burn. And I also like how soy wax performs as well. So when I moved into this home 3 years ago, the only thing that I had on hand to spiritually cleanse this home or spiritually cleanse this space was white sage. I used white sage a lot to smudge the home, to smudge the area. I used white sage inside the home as well as outside the home. I used white sage in the basement of the home and went around to each window of the home. I primarily worked with and had white sage. White sage did help a lot in cleansing this home. And then I moved on to Palo Santo. I used Palo Santo and was using Palo Santo primarily to cleanse and sage the home. I was also combining that with Florida water. So primarily most of the time, because having too much smoke in the home sometimes can cause allergies, or not allergies, but it causes other people to be like, oh, I can't stand this smoke. And I don't want to smoke everybody out in the home. So primarily I use some type of spiritual water, especially Florida water. There are recipes online where you can make your own Florida water. There are also recipes online that you can make other types of spiritual waters as well. So I do want to show you how Palo Santo is lit. I have used this piece. It was about the size of this piece, and I have burned it down to here. So the best technique, if you want to use Palo Santo wood, is to light it and to have it going downward. And keep the flame on the top of the part that's going to ignite. And like I said, this is a big piece, so this takes longer for it to truly, but you can see the cinders start to come on. Palo Santo has helped, especially in the workings that I do, to not only cleanse negativity or remove negativity, but it smooths the vibes in a room. So then it starts to take off and it starts to smoke. Put this on a fire-safe proof plate, or if you have like a smudging bowl or a piece of charcoal even, you can, not charcoal that you grill with, but little charcoal tablets, which I don't have any right now. This wood is very, very hard. Do not try to cut up the wood yourself. It's impossible basically to do. Okay, they do sell them in smaller sticks as well as in chip form. So that's how Palo Santo, and it smokes really well, however it won't stay lit. So I use this a lot in my workings, in my space, in the home. You always want to have, if you can, a window or a door open, especially if you're ever wanting to release any type of negative energies or lower vibrational energies in your space or your home. And always use something that is fireproof or fireproof safe, plate or saucer as well. So that's how Palo Santo looks and how it performs. It has a really delicious lemony floral fragrance, very different from white sage, but it just smells really, it's a nice, beautiful smell. Some people don't like the smell of burning white sage. If you're not the type that likes to burn white sage or doesn't like to burn any type of herb, this is an alternative. Be careful where you buy your Palo Santo sticks from, because make sure it's 100% the real deal. Palo Santo trees take hundreds of years to grow. So I would say that this is more indigenous than the white sages. So when it comes to using the Florida water combined with the spring water, this is what I do basically on a daily basis, okay? I'll come over to a space and spray it down. All right. I'll come over to my altar and just spray around the altar as well as under the altar. I also use this to clean down the altar. I'll take everything off and spray down the altar. I'll spray under the altar as well. So I use this quite a bit. This is really great. It has a capability, Florida water does, of really being, for me and for my personal use and experience from it, it's almost like the best thing to use if you want to rid yourself of any type of negative vibration, negative lower vibrational energies, to cleanse an object, to cleanse your space, to cleanse yourself as well. Florida water can go a long way, and I love to use Florida water. So Florida water is very well known in the spiritual community. This is just one way that you can use Florida water. So typically you will see white sage sold with an abalone shell. This one has been used quite a bit, you can tell. But abalone shell are fireproof safe, and you would hold and keep your smudge stick in there. Many times you will see practitioners or people using a feather. This is a turkey feather to waft the smoke while someone is being smudged, or waft the smoke in a room or in a building, etc., which of course you can do. I primarily don't do that so much. I just carry around the stick by itself. But since I was having the past 7 days, almost 2 weeks in our home, we had activity start again, and I'm going to smudge the outside of the home, which I think is very important. Smudging outside is a perfect thing to do. You do not necessarily have to smudge inside the home all the time. It's also a good idea to smudge outside the home if you have access to the outside. If you live in an apartment building, or if you have a balcony, it might be easier, of course. But if you have a house, apartment with a backyard, front yard, sidewalk, even a little patio, it's also good to bless and cleanse your front door, back door, and all around the perimeter or property of that dwelling or home as well. So this is the bottom, and you can see where the sticks are. We're going to start to light the top. There are many protection prayers you can say while smudging. There are many Native American prayers you can use while smudging. There are also blessing prayers you can use while smudging. There are also different psalms that you can take from the Bible to use while smudging as well, especially Psalm 23. So I'm just going to get this going. Okay, so now it's starting to take off. I wish I had smell-o-vision. Can you smell? Smell-o-vision. So it's starting to take off. So I'm going to take you outside, and we're going to smudge the front or the back of my house. Are you on camera? Are you ready to be smudged? So about 3 days ago, we had a really loud banging coming from this area of our home. It sounded like somebody was taking something very large and pounding the side of the walls. So I'm just going to smudge the outside of the home and ask for any negative or low vibrational energies or entities to leave this area, to leave the home. We have a kitty that's has a little cold if you hear sneezing. We rent a home, so unfortunately some things need to be fixed and repaired, and it's not the prettiest door we're looking at, but so I'm smudging the door. I go in reverse. That's just how I do it. If I want to rid myself of anything, I go counterclockwise. If I want to bring anything in, I'll use a different type of incense and go clockwise. So this is primarily the space that we were hearing and receiving loud banging noises. You guys are like, what's going on? And the door is open. We have a screen in the door. You always want to have the door open. I'm not going to completely open the door because I don't want the kittens to run in. That banging is not supernatural. It's our drain pipe is loose. So we were hearing very large bangs. I talked about it on my community tab on YouTube. So I don't like to just do a quick smudge about. I like to really get the smoke going and completely smudge the space. I just stepped on a cat plate. Bless you. When I first moved into this house, I smudged outside a lot. We've had activity outside, and other people have experienced activity outside the home as well when they've come here. So they're wondering what is she doing? What is she doing today? I'm going to smudge my flowers that are dying in the pots. So I'm not going to go completely around the perimeter of the home. And you'll notice, there's our basement window. You'll notice that certain areas or parts of your home will have more activity than others. For some reason, this area of the home had a lot of activity, especially in the last week. And it sounded like to me something that was sending a warning or wanted to come into the home. And it's not going to come into the home. Look, they're following me. Where's she doing? Bless you. You got a little cold? I know you do. I gave you some medicine and gave you a little bath yesterday. Bless you. You didn't know what was happening, did you? So, of course, I'm speaking, but at the same time, I am focusing on any type of lower vibrational energy or entity to leave this space, for this space to be clear and free, to not allow any lower vibrational entities or energies to enter into this space. So what do you think of that? Excellent. They're watching the smoke. So there you go. I wanted to show you guys. What's great about smudge sticks or white sage, even if you used different types of smudge bundles, they come in different varieties, just not white sage anymore. It stays pretty much lit. What I like to do is, and I won't do it out here because of them, I like to put this in a fire-safe bowl and keep it lit until it goes out, which I will show you in a minute. So you're looking at our basement. and I've done this before because we've had a lot of activity in the basement. And I've done this before. I will keep this smudge sage stick in the bowl, and I will leave it there until it goes out to smudge the basement. Our basement is pretty big, but I will keep that there, keep it lit, and it'll eventually will kind of go out, but it's also going to smudge and sage downward towards the steps into the basement. So there you have it, guys. I hope this video was helpful for anyone who's interested in different ways, of course, to spiritually cleanse or smudge your space. There are many different things that you can use. These are 3 primary ways of things that I use to cleanse and spiritually cleanse my space. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day today. Stay blessed, and I'll speak to you soon.